Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Wait. Before we start, does this interest you? This distinguished gentleman is now live on Makeshift.com for a grand total of $30. Link in the description below. Make sure you snag one before the time expires because it's not coming back. By the possums, 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 by the possums. Now to your regularly scheduled program. This post was collected by Glumcraft4652. The original OP is Mom Dating a Creep, posted on r/relationships April 24th, 2016. The guy my, 18 male, mom, 39 female, is dating is acting really creepy towards my sister, 20 female. This has caused my mom to act weirdly jealous towards my sister. What can we do to make my sister feel safer and make him stop creeping on her? And for our mom to stop acting this way towards her. Okay, so this is one big overall issue, but it's actually two different problems that are directly linked. A, this guy is acting really creepy towards my sister, and B, my mom acting jealous towards my sister, I think, as a result. A bit of background. My sister was conceived when my parents were still pretty young, 18, and they got married as a result. I always used to tease my sister back when I was a horrible kid about how she was the accident and I was the planned one. After they got married, they had a son, me. Alas, their marriage was not meant to last, and while I think they did truly come to love each other and care for each other through the sharing of two kids, they were ultimately two different people who wanted two different things from life. My mom wanted to settle down in classic suburbia and have a classic life. My dad was more of an adventurer, into traveling across the world and skydiving and whatnot. They got divorced while we were quite young, and while it was difficult initially for the pair of us to understand, we never felt unloved, and our dad was always there in our life. He was never neglectful or anything. While our mother was our primary custodian, our dad used to come by quite often and help out. So while they were divorced, they still had a pretty good relationship. Sometimes it was almost like they were dating, and I think they did enjoy each other's company, but ultimately, they were two very different people to be tied down to one another permanently. Anyhow, so my mom's dating this guy. I think he's about the same age as my mom, more or less. That she's actually known for quite some time as an acquaintance. She knows him from work, but they've never really been that close and started dating not that long ago. Maybe around Christmas last year. Anyhow, she seems quite infatuated with him, but from the start something seemed weird about him. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie American Psycho, but my sister and I love that movie. And we both think this guy is pretty much Patrick Bateman. Outwardly, he's the perfect, chiseled, accomplished business guy. He's charming, polite. Almost too charming. As a son, I might just be naturally suspicious because he's dating my mom, but he always gave me this serial killery vibe right from the start. Not saying he's a serial killer, but let's just say it wouldn't be the biggest surprise if I found out he was. Something just seems unnatural about him. Like, almost everything he does, wears, says is a fake, and is perfectly calculated to give off the image he wants of himself. I suppose that's how you have to be to succeed in the business world, but I never liked him. He never struck me as a genuine person. Anyhow, my mom seemed to be quite infatuated with him. She seemed really happy with him from the start. He expressed affection to her quite often, and I think she really appreciated that. It made her feel youthful, if I had to guess. Now, to get to the root of the issue. This guy started doing some seriously creepy stuff towards my sister. At first, we didn't say anything, but only my sister and I noticed. The biggest one was one morning when we were all having breakfast at the table. He was there, sitting across from me having his cereal, and my sister was bending over to pick up something. And I saw him look right at her butt crack, and then he looked at me and smiled and nodded his head toward her like, giving off a super creepy smile. My mind was thinking like, what the fuck? But I just ignored it because I didn't want to make a scene or anything. I told my sister about it as soon as I had the chance, and she agreed he was really creepy. She told me sometimes she feels him staring at her, especially from behind. She told me a bunch of times he made her feel really uncomfortable. Like one time she was brushing her hair in the bathroom and he just came up behind her and put his hands on her shoulders and started having a long conversation with her, which included telling her how she smelt nice. She told me she'd never felt more uncomfortable in her life. She said sometimes when she's sitting on the couch watching a movie or TV, he'd come by and sit by her and edge closer and put his arm around her, and she'd feel really uncomfortable. This was in addition to all the times she caught him trying to sneak glances at her. I also started to notice this, like at the breakfast table. When she was walking past or whatever, he'd start taking quick glances at her from the corner of his eye. Sometimes when my sister and I are up in her bedroom and watching something on our laptop together or listening to music together, he'd come up and be like, "Hey kids, what are you up to?" And just sit beside her and put his arm around her and watch whatever we're watching and not leave at all. Sometimes I feel like he acts super extra nice to her, more than to me or my mom. He's always way more touchy with her and tries to sit as close to her as he can, taking glances and peeks here and there. Needless to say, we both felt very uncomfortable. My first suggestion is that we have to tell Mom about this. My sister insisted no, she wouldn't understand. She'd get mad at us for suggesting. We can't tell her. I insisted she has to know that this dude was creeping on her daughter, and eventually my sister relented and she agreed. We went and told our mom, but she just laughed it off and told us we were being paranoid and ignored the whole thing. He seems to really have her under his spell. However, this is where the second problem began. We both noticed right after we told her this, and we think she started becoming more aware of the way he was acting. A weird change in our mother's behavior. First of all, she started acting almost more possessive of her boyfriend, almost like she was trying to claim him. Not sure what other words to use, but that's what it seemed like to me. She would suddenly be much more affectionate to him when he was around, like trying to kiss him more often, giving him hugs, being more cuddly with him and smiling around him, calling him more pet names. Almost like she was trying to mark her territory and show that he was hers and she was his. It's crazy to think, but I think it's because she was starting to feel almost jealous or threatened by her daughter. She was scared of the fact that he might be more interested in her daughter than in her. I personally think she was becoming more aware of him acting creepy around my sister and taking stares and glances at her, which is what made her more nervous. She was being more lovey around him, trying to bring him closer to her. They started going to bed early, if you know what I mean, and sometimes being disturbingly loud in the bedroom. Though not that often, thank heavens. The other thing is that she started acting jealous towards my sister, and policing her behavior and dress. For example, she started telling my sister off if her pajamas or nightwear, or whatever, were too revealing. Especially if it was a night that her boyfriend was staying the night at our place. And she started insisting that my sister wear a bra at home, which really annoyed my sister for some reason. She was like, "No way, I never wear a bra at home." Because normally she just wears a loose gray jumper or a loose gray shirt when she's at home. That isn't even remotely revealing or anything. My mom said it's inappropriate that she doesn't wear a bra under her clothes. And she was like, "You're grown up now, you need to wear one." But my sister said it was uncomfortable to wear one all the time and to sleep in one, and she liked to relax when she's at home and not have to worry about that. But now, it seems that our mom was making her worry about that. She was also policing other things she wore, like ordinary clothes, and told her not to wear a towel around the house when she comes out of the shower. She was like, "What the fuck, why?" And my mom was like, "We have 2 males in the house, your brother and my boyfriend. It's inappropriate." Which is weird as fuck that I'd lived in this house with them all my life and she'd never had a problem with it before. Also, when my sister comes and bends over the couch to see what I'm doing, my mom would be like, "Dear, stand properly," or Sit properly, that's not very ladylike. Sometimes she'd do it even on nights when her boyfriend wasn't around, but it was mostly when her boyfriend was around, which indicated that the boyfriend was the real reason she was acting more policey and insecure. Sometimes the boyfriend wouldn't even be in the vicinity. Like, my sister and I would be upstairs in her bedroom watching something, and my mom would come in and check on us and see what we're doing. Then she'd be like, "Sweetie, I told you to wear a bra more often." Needless to say, it's been annoying the fuck out of my sister. She's been getting massively annoyed and distressed by the whole thing. It's bad enough to have this total creep on her all the time he's over, but now her own mother is clamping down on her and acting like a jealous, insecure teenage girl towards her own daughter. I can't even begin to imagine how much it's bothering her. She's talked to me a lot about it, and she's told me how sick she is of all of it, and how sick she is of living in this house. She told me she feels like she's not even safe in her own home anymore. She feels like she's being watched constantly, and she hates being alone with this guy. We tried telling our mother about it already, but she brushed it off. My sister suggested we go live with our dad instead, since we're both adults, but I told her I don't think it would be too conducive to his lifestyle. He seems to like living on his own, and having two teenage brats in the way would hamper that. I told her, nevertheless, we should tell him about what's going on, and maybe he can help. She immediately insisted, no, we shouldn't tell him. We shouldn't involve him in this. I tried to reason and convince her, but she was totally against telling Dad. Now, this is the part where I feel bad, especially since I might show this post and the replies to her later. Sorry, sis. But I did tell Dad. I had to. Sorry. Really sorry. I made my dad promise to not let her know that I'd told him, but he gave me advice and told me to watch out for this guy. He told us to keep our distance, and when the time is right, he might have a chat with our mother about it. He also told me if I ever see him put one inappropriate hand on his daughter in an inappropriate place or anything, or try to make a move on her or anything, that I immediately tell him. He was like, he knows these sorts of guys. Guys who think they can easily prey on young and naive girls who are still too scared to properly stick up for themselves. I told my dad about my sister wanting to move in with him. He was like, maybe for one of us, but not both, at least not permanently. I told my sister about that, and she was like she didn't want to leave me alone here. She thought if we move out, we would both move out together, and she felt safer having me around anyway. I told her I'd be fine on my own, but she was quite insistent. She suggested maybe looking for a place where we could both move out to and rent together, but I was like, nah, I'm not too interested in that. I kinda like living at home with Mom. It's comfy as hell and I have someone to look after me. She tried insisting, she seems to think it was the only solution to get out of this environment, but I said I'd consider it. But honestly, I'm not keen on moving out at all. I have nothing against her moving out if she wants to though, but she seems pretty keen that I move out too. So yeah, that's the story. Two main issues. A, Mom's boyfriend is creeping on and acting really weird towards my sister, making her constantly uncomfortable and unsafe when he's around. We've tried telling our mom, but she brushed it off. What can we do to stop this creep and make my sister feel safe? B, Mom herself started acting strange and jealous towards my sister, policing what she wears and how she acts much more strictly to try not to draw attention to her from her boyfriend. It's been really annoying my sister and getting on her nerves. How can we get this behavior to stop? One last thing. My sister doesn't use Reddit, but she knows of it. I've considered showing her this post and showing her the replies I get, in case they are of any use to her. Do you guys think this is a good idea? If so, post advice to her as well. Too long didn't read, Mom's boyfriend is acting really creepy towards my sister, and as a result, Mom is acting jealous towards her. What can we do to stop him acting creepy towards her and make my sister feel safe again? And get Mom off her back as well. Replies from OP. I don't know why she'd feel uncomfortable with our dad. He's our dad, she loves him. Of course, if there's no other option at all, and the only safe option for my sister is for me to move out too, then I'll move out. But if her being alone with my dad would make her uncomfortable because he's a guy, wouldn't her being alone with me also hypothetically make her uncomfortable? It's really sad, and it's really gotten to my sister. I think a large part of it is she feels she's being attacked from two fronts, and she's been betrayed by her mother. I really feel for her, and I can't imagine what that must be like. Look, it's easy for you to point fingers when you're behind a computer screen. The thing is, moving out is far easier said than done. We need to find an affordable place, something a nigh impossible task. Pack all our things, organize transport, get the paperwork done. I honestly don't know how the two of us will be able to afford rent together without at least some initial financial assistance. Here's my plan. I'm going to have one serious last talk with my mother. I'm going to give it my all to talk some sense into her. I'll try to maybe even get some evidence if I can, like if I can record what he does on video or something. And then, I'll show it to her. I might even get my dad to talk some sense into her. If that doesn't work, I'll see if my sister is willing to move in with my dad. If that doesn't work, then my sister and I will start apartment hunting. We don't exactly have gargantuan incomes. We both work part-time, the two of us, so we'll probably end up renting a very small apartment with a fold-out mattress bed. I'm going to make an earnest request to both our parents for some financial assistance. If they agree, that's good. If not, oh well. I'll also look into government support services. Moving out is not easy. I'd have to make a huge amount of sacrifices. It's easy to call someone else selfish when you're not making the sacrifices. Just because I want to exhaust all options before making the final huge leap does not mean I'm a bad brother. Final update, 1 month later. Well, it's a month since my first post, and the guy's gone, thankfully. However, my sister and I still moved out for a number of reasons. It all came to a head a few weeks ago when my mom was out of the house and her boyfriend was hanging about the house. I was in my room and I heard my sister scream. It came from the bathroom. She was freaking out, saying he was hitting on her and touching her / trying to touch her, and she had told him to stop and he wouldn't back off. So she screamed at the top of her lungs for me to come. He was denying everything, saying she was making it all up, saying she was overreacting. I told him he had to leave the house immediately, or I was calling the police. He wouldn't, and I basically pushed him out while my sister called our dad. When he heard her calling our dad, he finally left the house, still insisting we were the crazy ones and he had done nothing. I reassured my sister. She was in a very shocked state. My dad came over and we comforted her and helped her feel better. He called Mom, and she came back, and we all explained the situation to her. That was the last time we ever saw Mom's creepy boyfriend. He broke up with her shortly afterwards. I don't know why, but I guess after that situation, he didn't want to come back ever and had no interest in our mom. I'm really scared that he was maybe just pursuing our mother to get close to Sis the entire time and had no real intentions with our mother. My sister was kind of traumatized by the whole ordeal, and I convinced our dad to sleep with us for a few nights at our place just to be safe, and so my sister could feel safe. Naturally, Mom was upset by how everything turned, but we convinced her it was for the better that he was gone, and we finally got her to accept and admit he was a creep all along and should never have been allowed in our house. Unfortunately, family problems didn't end there. My sister was way on edge for the next week, way more cranky and irritable than usual. I don't blame her. She still wanted to move out. She said she hated living at home after everything that happened. She didn't feel safe. I told her the dude wasn't coming back, but she still wanted me to move out with her. She said stuff like, "You don't really love me. I knew it. I don't love you either." Stuff like that, which was clearly attempting to guilt me, and which I felt was extremely childish and immature. Unfortunately, our mom wasn't too helpful either. A couple of weeks later, she was already dating a completely new boyfriend. We didn't see much of this one, but from what I did see here and there, he seems nice enough and not too creepy. Unfortunately, Mom started acting the same way again, telling my sister her clothing is too revealing, telling her to wear a bra, telling her to cover up in her own home, even when it was just the three of us around. I agreed to move out with my sister, and I talked the whole situation over with both our parents and told them of our plan. My sister and I would borrow some money from Mom and some from Dad, both of which we intended to pay back in full as soon as we could. We stayed a couple of days at Dad's place, and from there, we moved into our own small place. It's small, sure, but pretty good considering it's within our affordability range. Things are going good so far, and we're moving forward. Too long didn't read. Creep tried to make his move on my sister. She screamed. He ended up breaking up with our mom. Our mom found a new boyfriend, and she started acting the same way towards my sister, and the two of us have now moved out and are living elsewhere. Top/relevant comments. User, hair away. I'm sorry, but your mother is beyond awful. That man tried to molest her daughter, and she still blames her instead of him. I would want to never speak to her again. Zero motherly instincts. Zero desire to protect her kids. User lollyhole. Don't like that username at all. I'm really glad you're there to look out for your sister and you have her back. No questions asked. I have a brother 2 years younger than me, and he's never shown me that kind of loyalty or protectiveness. You're a good person, and I hope your sister is happier now. Your mother sounds like she'll end up very unhappy in the long run if she keeps taking her own insecurities out on the people closest to her. Good luck with everything, both of you. Fem0879. Your mother is desperate and pitiful. You did the right thing moving out. It is incredibly unfortunate that both OP and his sister were failed by their mother. Like, just this horrifically. Quite literally in this case, hey, your boyfriend is creeping on me. Oh, well, look at what you're wearing. It's your fault. Seriously? Your response to your kids telling you that your boyfriend's being creepy is to blame your daughter for how she's acting and what she's wearing. Also, gotta love the fact that the moment that his advances are cut short and he's pretty much kicked to the curb by the kids and realizes he's gonna have to contend with the father, he then breaks up with the mom. Or maybe she broke up with him. I guess we don't really have that kind of information and we're not privy to it. My biggest fear is that the mother didn't take the kids seriously and was willing to side with the boyfriend until he left her. And then she just kind of stayed weirdly neutral because there is a, well, lacking amount of information about the mother's reaction. But yeah, that dude was gross, predatory, and I'm happy that things ended up kind of working out in the long run. Well, who the hell am I kidding? Kind of is a massive stretch here. I mean, the kids have to move out of the house because they don't feel safe there because their mother couldn't protect them. The mother is being overly controlling over her daughter's appearance and the way that she acts and stands because she's jealous that she's going to steal her boyfriends away. Additionally, she pretty much got sexually assaulted in her own home after dealing with her mother, pretty much dismissing every attempt that she made at trying to be like, hey, your boyfriend's being not fucking cool. And the only reason why things really worked out is because they were able to, by the sounds of it, actually find a place to move out into. But goddamn, what a train wreck. This post was collected by Glumcraft4652. The original OP is Feeling Sick 12, posted on r/relationship September 15th, 2015. If you are eating, I would recommend not doing so during this post. I, 23 male, caught my coworker, 33 male, coming out of the women's bathroom at work. Later, we got an all-office email demanding to know who soiled the women's bathroom at work. Hey, Reddit. So, I've been working at my company for about 4 years and have a coworker that I'll call Earl. I don't know Earl super well, but he's always been a decent dude. But a little off and kind of weird. At the moment, several of our floors are under construction, so hardly anyone has been down there for the past couple of days while parts are being ordered. Sans a small unit of 2 people that work in the storage unit on one of the floors. Today, I was down there to drop off some stuff in storage when I round the corner and see Earl slipping out of the women's bathroom, looking back and forth quickly to make sure no one saw him before going into the corridor that led to the elevator. I was confused as fuck, but shrugged it off. His gender identity crisis or malfunctioning men's bathroom on the floor he worked on was none of my business, but then we fucking got an all-office email demanding to know who had decided to shit all over the women's bathroom floor. I talked to one of the girls that works on the floor, and there was not only a mess in the middle of the floor, but the feces was smeared all over the walls with a "Hi Larry," our office manager, written in fecal matter on the mirrors, followed by a "Fuck Susan" written on another. Susan is the manager that works on the isolated floor and one of the few females on the floor. So, it could be Earl, but it might not also be Earl. Earl is pretty fucking unhinged, he has PTSD and is socially incompetent, but he's also a germaphobe, so I can't see him being so crazy that he'd play with his own shit. On the other hand, I don't want to rat him out, then have this weirdo slash my tires or come after me in the parking lot. Should I tell my boss about this? Something I'd rather not do because he tends to shoot first and ask questions later, or talk to Earl privately. I'm not sure, as this is the weirdest freaking situation I've ever been in. Too long didn't read, caught my coworker coming out of the women's bathroom, Later, feces was discovered smeared all over the bathroom with nasty messages written to managers on the mirrors. Should I talk to my boss or Earl? I can't really definitively prove it was Earl. Edit, my buddy just texted me to tell me that it's common knowledge in Earl's work pool that he has a huge fucking crush on Susan. That's not returned. Apparently, she crushed him when she turned down a giant teddy bear he bought her last week on her birthday. He's never gotten along with Larry. Shit. Edit 2. Buddy 2 just told me that Susan found a handprint on her car door handle. She needed to be calmed down and have her car checked before she got in. Security is going to check the tapes tomorrow, evidently. Told my buddy to have a look out for Earl and what I saw. Top/relevant comments. User remember Coombe Valley. Did he see ya? If he didn't see you, do go to talk to HR. While what I has done specifically wasn't dangerous, it's sure a pretty noticeable ticky box on the road to the quiet employee shot 7 of his coworkers on Thursday. I'm kind of amused at your managers though. What did they think was going to happen from that email? Lisa in accounting was going to be like, "Oh, yeah, sorry, my bad," or something. Opie responds, "LOL, the email had a very confess now and receive mercy because if we have to find you, you're done vibe to it. And yeah, that's what I'm afraid of, having to lock myself in a closet while fending a crazy active shooter coworker off." User HR Homer responds, "You didn't answer. Did he fucking see you?" Opie responds, "I'm 90% sure Earl did not see me." User Bitchin' Technology, who was downvoted, comments, "Where did the workplace shooting come from? LOL. Jesus." Opie responds, "To be fair, Earl has PTSD. He's been caught regularly banging his head against the wall of his cubicle and sobbing hysterically in stairwells for no reason. I found out a little while ago that he charged into his boss's office with the intent of punching him in the face after he got a shitty performance review." Final update. 52 days later, November 6th, 2015. Hey, Reddit! Thought I'd update you guys on the crazy train that is Earl. So, about a month ago, I saw Earl, my PTSD-ridden coworker, sneaking out of the women's bathroom. Later, we got a nasty gram from office management demanding to know who soiled the women's bathroom. Here was not only a mess in the middle of the floor, but the feces was smeared all over the walls with a "Hi Larry," our office manager, written in fecal matter on the mirrors, followed by a "Fuck Susan" written on another. Susan is the manager that works on the isolated floor and one of the few females on the floor. So, long story short, I ended up giving my buddy that works in security a heads up that I saw Earl sneaking out of the women's bathroom. Susan found a handprint on her car door handle that day too. Security checked the tapes, but of course they didn't catch shit. Some of the cameras were out. Earl wasn't questioned right away, and for the most part, people forgot about the incident, except Susan. The other day, Susan came to work and found a huge dump right in the middle of her cubicle. Several of her things had been touched or knocked over. She immediately lost it and ran straight to security. Fortunately, since the incident, cameras that were on her floor were now running, and lo and behold, Earl was on her floor at 5:30 a.m. Earl's punch-in time was usually 8:15. He was questioned, and he had no viable reason for why he was there that early in the morning, and on Susan's floor. A search of Earl's locker uncovered soiled rags and a filthy t-shirt. Earl has been moved off-site pending an HR investigation. We're all guessing he's going to be canned. In the meantime, should he come to the office while I'm here, I'm running out the emergency exit. I'm convinced he knows. Too long didn't read, Earl was caught red-handed. He is now the subject of an HR investigation and has been moved to an off-site far away from the general work population. Top/relevant comments. Hygh. I'm guessing Earl's got some issues. Do be careful. Ask security to keep an eye on you and Susan when you go to and from your car. Opie responds, "If the man's gonna keep stank-ass rags and t-shirts in his locker, I know his crazy ass got problems. I'm running to and from my car." User Hygh comments once again, or is it Hygh? I don't know. I actually recommend she merely be watched carefully if Earl sees the escort. He may decide it's too risky to confront her work and to follow her home. If security busts him doing whatever, pooping, I expect, he goes to the pokey. Opie responds, LOL, not to be gross, but my buddy that works in security was having way too much fun describing Earl's mess. Evidently, it was one long, unbroken pile of perfection. I told him he was as sick as Earl. The Mars Almighty comments. So the handprint was a doo-doo handprint? Classic. Also, where do you work that had multiple floors, cubicles, and lockers? Lastly, how was he not fired on the spot if caca was found in his locker? Hope he responds. There's 26 floors in my building, and some floors where the auto mechanics, techs, and utility people work have lockers. Don't know why that's hard to grasp. Also, we're government employees. You can't get fired on the spot until an internal investigation is finished. It can take up to a year. I'm kind of just stun-locked on this one because I don't really know what to say. Like, it's just vile. Honestly, my biggest takeaway is I really hope Earl was able to get the help that he obviously needed. Like, what he did was reprehensible, but he obviously needs help. So hopefully within the last 10 years, he was able to get that help. Because, I mean, according to OP, this wasn't even his first rodeo with something along these lines happening. I mean, he charged into the boss's office trying to punch them, then proceeded to smear feces over everywhere when rejected. They ignored some serious psychiatric red flags, and, I can only hope that everyone in this story ended up, getting what they needed. Hopefully Susan is feeling better about her current position, hopefully OP's feeling safe and not looking over their shoulder, and hopefully Earl got the help that he desperately needed. Don't forget, today we're launching the 3 opossums in a trench coat plush. Coming live at yeah. But you should definitely buy this plush. It is totally not 3 opossums in a trench coat. Totally not. You should definitely allow this completely non-conspicuous, oddly shaped, distinguished gentleman into your home, who will certainly not lay claim to your pantry. This is in fact 3 opossums in a trench coat who will in fact lay complete desolation to your fridge, pantry, and potentially garbage. On sale now!